So one of the things that we've been doing lately is we've been doing these things called 10-minute type advices. They're different than our main podcast. It's about 10 minutes. I don't think we've ever been at actual 10 minutes.
There's a reason why there's an asterisk next to 10 minutes. There's a reason why the intro says in about 10 minutes. I don't think I've ever said anything in 10 minutes. So, yeah.
I mean, to be fair, they're like at least under 15 usually. So between 10 and 50. But we say
do
it's
our best.
About 10 minutes.
Right.
Where people usually will audio record a question into us and we can answer it.
Yep.
And then if you've ever listened to our podcast for any length of time, you probably hear me at the end say something like, what do you think? What do you think about this topic? Come share a voice. We've been the two of us, but you're the third person in this conversation, but you don't have a microphone, but we want to hear from you. Come over to personalhacker.com and I wrap it up that way. Well, tonight we actually do have an actual third microphone physically in our presence, and we have an amazing studio audience you just heard from a moment ago. So we thought what we could do is curate some questions and some conversation from all of the folks that are here. And I thought that would be a great way to start.
Yep.
So does anybody have anything to kick us off with? Can just kind of jump up? Yeah, right here. Come on up. Come on up and join. Give me a hand, everybody. All right, sir. So let's start off with the basics. Your name?
My name's Sean.
Your name is Sean. And where are you from, Sean?
I am from Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. You came all the way to Gettysburg to join us for our podcast.
I did.
Fantastic. What is your best fit type?
ISTP.
ISTP.
Yep.
Do you have a question, something you want to talk about tonight? Kick us off.
Yeah, my question kind of surrounded around communication. What I find is sometimes me and my wife, when we're talking with each other, I'll be saying one thing and she will hear something completely different. So if I say like, oh, this thing is on the counter, I don't want it there. It's getting in the way. That's really just what I mean. It's just in the way. But what she hears is like an attack on her values and her thoughtfulness, that she didn't put it there intentionally. And so then we end up getting into an argument. And so, yeah, I'm wondering if there are maybe any like tips or cues that maybe you can pick up on that will help you identify those miscommunications or maybe get clarity before they happen.
So let me just ask you a couple of clarifying things. So
Sure.
From your perspective as an ISTP, you're leading with a cognitive function. The driver or dominant cognitive function you would use would be introverted thinking. We've nicknamed it accuracy. So it's all about logical consistency, speaking your truth, calling things as you see them.
Absolutely.
So this is, by you doing this with your wife, saying this is like your superpower. You're supposed to say things in a truthful way and be like, this is how this is affecting me, the situation or whatever. And what I'm guessing, would you express that your wife's maybe experience of that is you're like calling her stupid, like she wasn't thoughtful or thinking about, when you call that out on the counter, something like that. What do you think her emotional experience is? Do you think she thinks you're saying that she's dumb, she's not being thoughtful, she's not thinking through all the elements of this? Like, how could you articulate what you think's going on for her?
Yeah, I think that sums it up pretty well. It's mainly that I'm accusing her of not thinking about where that was or planning for that, that she wasn't intentional about it.
Okay.
Do you know your wife's best fit type preferences?
Yeah, she's an INFJ.
Okay.
That's a cool relationship. INFJ, ISTP. You guys
Yes.
probably have like complementary energies. You probably appreciate each other a lot.
We do, yeah. We vibe very well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I have some things to say specifically about the two types, and then I have some general concepts that I can weave in here, potentially. Let's see where this goes, all right?
All right.
So when you lead with a function, and by the way, it sounds like in an ISTP, INFJ relationship, you each have each other's dominant or driver function as each other's 10-year-old or tertiary function. And that means that the way that I've started to see functions, and this has been kind of a big aha for me, is that the descending order of functions diagnoses our relationship to them in terms of certainty. I think we've talked about this in recent podcasts. So that first function is a function that's very certain. In fact, in some ways, it's overconfident, right? And Dr. John Beebe's model, he calls it a hero because it's like the right tool for all the jobs. And sometimes, particularly people who lead with functions like introverted thinking or accuracy, we learn that not everybody likes our favorite function. And so we learn to be quiet, but that doesn't mean we don't still think it's the right tool for the job, right? And we have a sense of overcertainty with that function with ourselves, even if not everybody else appreciates this beautiful gift that we have to offer. So when you do communicate this to her, on some level, what you're saying is that I trust that you're going to be able to receive this with the intention that I have, right? I'm honoring you with my truth, right? I don't give my truth to everybody because not everybody receives it well. But you're my intimate, you're my partner. I'm going to give you my radical honesty, and I trust that you're going to be able to understand that this is not an attempt to create discord. This is actually an attempt to create harmony. I'm not a fan of this. If you're not a fan of something that you live with every day, there's like a little bit of heat that gets generated every time you see that thing, right? And I just don't want that heat, right? And so let's do something about this. Now, by the time you get to that third function, the 10-year-old or tertiary function, you're now in a place of uncertainty. And the way that we tend to deal with the uncertainty of that function is that we're seeking approval from the outside world, right? By the time we get to the fourth function, we're like deeply uncertain. And even when somebody says, you did a good job, we go, yeah, sure I did. But that third function, that's what Dr. John Beebe calls an internal child, right? And what do children do? They seek adult approval in order to feel a sense of certainty, right? Did I do good? Did I do a good job? So if there's I'm noticing something that isn't placed in the place that I would like you to place it, right? This is not what I would have done. It's entirely possible that your wife is receiving this in a place of uncertainty, right? You're calling out something that's true for you. And oftentimes it's calibrative, right? Introverted thinking or accuracy is a very calibrative function. It's always looking to like optimize things and improve upon them. And her choice in your mind wasn't optimized, right? There's a better place to do this. Well, that hits her right in that eternal child part, that 10-year-old or tertiary function, that you're not approving of her choices. And so now she's not getting the head pat that function is looking for. And then that means that she's going to get triggered because now she's uncertain without any outer world approval to buoy up that sense of certainty. And you probably have experienced that in the reverse too.
Yes, that's what I was going to say is the same thing happens in reverse. You know, she'll say something to me and it'll make me feel, I get immediately defensive.
Right.
Even though it's not what she was actually trying to communicate after we sorted it out.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's reciprocal.
Have you considered it from this perspective? Of course I have, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So that's already understanding that dynamic takes care of a lot of things because when our partner has certain criteria they're looking for, all of our functions, what's nice about you and your wife is that you're actually sharing all the same functions just in different order. And so you can get into you can sympathize with what her functions are looking for, right? Their desires. When we're partnered with somebody who has very different functions from us, that can be a little challenging because it takes a while to figure out what's the heart of this thing. Like, what is this thing looking for? But what's nice is that you know that she's going to be shifting perspectives. You know that she's going to be trying to create, connection and increased morale and getting people's needs met with her extroverted feeling or harmony. You know that she's going to be seeking a sense of competence, optimization, doing things as logically as possible with her introverted thinking or accuracy. And you know that she's going to have a little part of her that wants to feel a sense of max aliveness and effortless flow with her extroverted sensing or sensation. You can sympathize with all of that. But the thing that throws it out of whack is that what makes her feel unsettled and uncertain is very different than yours. So just a little bit of bookending can sometimes help with this, which is... this is what I do. I'm a fellow introverted thinking or accuracy user, so I've learned this technique. I almost prep the person for bad news. All right. I'm about to criticize you. Are you in a good space to hear it? Right? Or I'm about to say a thing that I have a feeling will make you feel like I'm criticizing you. I'm really not, but I'm going to say it because I kind of need to say it. But how are you feeling right now? Right? And if you say it with a sense of, I need to communicate this in order for us to maintain harmony, right? This is something that we need to do in order to stay connected. And it's going to come across like criticism, and I know that, and I don't know what else to do about it. But I still need to communicate it. So is this a moment that we can do that? And it's like you're checking in to make sure that she's resourced, and you're giving her a little bit of lead time to like get the hit, right? And you can say, and I can communicate it however it makes sense to you, but that's kind of what needs to happen. And I've noticed that most people, if you give them a little bit of preparation, they go, okay, yeah, go ahead, right? Or they'll do this. Of course I'll listen to you, right? Of course. Why would I get offended, right? Now they have to stay consistent with the thing that they just said, right? It's
a trap.
Yeah, it's a trap, right? Exactly. So you've got them there. And then now they're going to be consistent with the thing that they just told you. And so you can deliver the bad news, right? And then the person can reconcile it inside of themselves, and then it's okay. So that's number one. As a person who uses as a fellow person who uses introverted thinking or accuracy, I've learned bookends are very helpful. It's just prep them, right? This might sting a little bit. And I don't even know why it might sting. I don't get it, right? I don't know why it hurts their feelings. I just know it does. And so that's what I tend to do. The second thing is I also choose the right moment. Is this person resourced? Well, is your partner, your wife resourced? Is she in a good place? Is she have you been keeping connection and morale up? Because she's looking to connect first and then pass data, right? And when you're using introverted thinking as one of the first two functions, you don't really need that connection. You just want the data. And when data creates connection, huzzah, right? That's awesome. But when people have that in reverse order, they usually need connection first, and then they know we're okay, and then you can deliver the information. So it's bookending, communicating what's about to happen, and it's also making sure you're connecting first, and then communicating the information directly.
Instead of just hitting them over the head with it.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like a big dump of TIs coming, right? Are you cool?
So yeah. I have a quick question. How long had you been thinking about like this one specific example? I know you're asking a meta question, but there's this thing on the counter. You're kind of like, it doesn't make sense to have it there. I need to speak my truth. How long had that been in your head?
For a while, because I knew that it would be something that might be a point of contention, or it might cause hostility. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I haven't really had the tools, or maybe that's kind of why I was asking, because I don't.
Yeah.
Usually, what I end up doing is just not saying anything, and that's like equally as bad, because we're not, then we're just not communicating.
Yeah. What was the catalyst for mentioning it this time around?
It was actually in one of your courses for...
it's our fault.
You told us to be radically honest, and then I was, and then I got in Dutch with a wife.
Thanks to both of you.
So now help me get out of this, guys.
Fair enough.
So I said, Joel and Antonia told me to do it. I'm sorry.
So are you heading someplace?
I was just curious what the catalyst was after a while, because I thought it had been a while, and I was wondering what caused you to want to do it then.
Well, actually, that's a really good question, because I've also noticed that the closer that I deliver a piece of information that is a truth for me, especially if it creates a little frustration or heat, the closer I say it to the time that I originally recognize that this is a thing for me, the less wormy I get about it. Like if I wait a long time, heat has built, frustration has built, like there's like a hesitance, and
it's a bigger deal.
And the INFJ reads that, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. So just try to bring it up sooner rather than later is what you're saying. Yeah.
Bring it forward.
There's an undertone of annoyance or anger that you may not realize.
Bring it earlier in the timeline. We don't know how things are making us feel, so we don't know what emotions are being smuggled into our conversation. Oftentimes we're not aware of it. So bring it closer to the time period so heat doesn't build unconsciously, in the shadow. And do a little bookending, right? Connect first, and then do a little bookending and go, okay, so here's the thing. I'm about to say something that I know is going to upset you, and I don't know how else to say it. So here I go, right?
Right.
And I have try it out and let us know how it works, right?
Yeah.
Because this might be...
I think it'll go better than the first time.
Might be terrible advice. I don't know. Go field test it, right? And if eventually you're just like, personality hacker destroyed my marriage. But I have a feeling it will work. And especially, I think, if she knows that it is troubling to you, her extroverted feeling is that's also, you connect. She knows it's troubling to you. It's not just criticism. It's like a thing. And her desire to stay in connection with you and be in harmony with you, I think that's going to win out.
And I think that makes sense. Yeah. If I'm giving my intention isn't to cause disconnection or malice or anything like that, I think That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Sean.
All right, give him a hand, everybody.